5 people were killed in Gaza today as Israeli strikes and shootings targeted civilians, including families seeking food and shelter, according to reports from the ground. Hospitals also report heavy casualties among women and children, and residents say no part of Gaza is safe. This comes as a UN-backed body has confirmed Gaza is facing a severe famine caused by Israeli restrictions on humanitarian aid. Over 500,000 people risk starvation as food and supplies are blocked at borders. This is from said report. UN officials warn the famine is preventable and call for an immediate ceasefire and unhindered aid access. The crisis is projected to worsen, spreading to Deir al-Balah and Khan Yunis, with over 640,000 people at catastrophic risk by September. Israel calls the famine report a lie and continues its preparations to seize Gaza City. Ground operations are already underway in key areas, while negotiations over hostages and a possible ceasefire await Israel's next steps. We are now joined by Ross Feingold, who is a political analyst. He joins us live from Taipei in Taiwan. Ross, some more figures there. Today's figures: 25 people killed, according to hospitals on the ground. Your reaction to this? Of course, the reports are saying that these people have been killed in camps while sheltering, whilst displaced, and also while seeking aid. These are continued reports we're getting continuously, day after day. Your response to this?
Prime Minister Netanyahu seems generally immune to the criticism from the international community about civilian deaths in the course of Israel's military operations. At the same time, and I think it's been becoming increasingly clear over the past few months, the Israeli government and Prime Minister Netanyahu, they do seem sensitive to criticism, especially from Western countries like countries in Europe, about the civilian death toll and about the civilian hunger. But they're weighing that against their military imperatives. And it's clear that at the moment that Prime Minister Netanyahu is going to prioritize military needs over humanitarian needs, despite the growing international criticism.
Yes, Ross, and also on the table, which we haven't mentioned, is a deal which has been accepted by Hamas, which was accepted by Israel a month ago. It will see a 60-day ceasefire in fighting and also return of half the hostages back to Israel, 20 of which Israel believes to be alive. What's stopping Israel from accepting that deal?
Certainly, there's a lot of domestic political pressure in Israel for Netanyahu to accept this deal. The challenge for Netanyahu is he has members of his coalition, including members of his cabinet, who refuse to accept this deal and/or take the view that any deal should be temporary in nature and it shouldn't be a permanent agreement or any indication that Israel is willing to end the war. In other words, there's still a strong voice in the current Israeli government, and frankly, Netanyahu is partial to this view, that says we have to defeat Hamas militarily. So we could agree to a ceasefire, it could be temporary, it could be 30 days or 60 days, but this view among members of the Israeli government is we cannot give up our ability or our right to defeat Hamas militarily. You know, one of the interesting things or even challenges about that view is when the war began in October 2023, I think most observers expected that Israel would be able to defeat Hamas within a relatively short period of time. And very few people thought that the war would go on for nearly 2 years and that Israel, despite its extraordinary military capability, would not be able to defeat Hamas yet.
Ross, of course, we're all seeing this crisis unfold online with images strewn all over social media. Netanyahu, of course, blames the social media algorithms for Israel losing the PR war. He also calls the famine a lie and continues the preparations to seize Gaza City, given condemnation of international allies. Long term, what do you think the effects are going to be on Israel, even after this war ends? Do you think that this is going to affect Israel diplomatically and, of course, its long-term image on the world stage?
That really remains to be seen. There's so much that is unknown about how this war will end and what will come after the war ends, or as often is called the day after. Who would rule Gaza? Is it going to be Israel's military? Is it going to be a coalition of Arab countries or some other governance model? This is just unknown, and it's not known because the war isn't over and Hamas has not been militarily defeated yet. There's growing calls in Europe to change the trade relationship with Israel. So far, most European leaders are resistant to take that step, notwithstanding their growing willingness to criticize Israel. But ultimately, Israel's most important security partner is the United States. And the Trump administration, generally speaking, is going to remain a firm supporter of Israel's policies.
Ross Feingold, thank you very much for joining us. Pleasure to have you, and thank you for taking